Welcome back. In part one, I covered part of the logistical nightmare that can be lurking under the surface when you want to live stream. Now, a lot of people think live streaming is going to be just as easy as pointing a smartphone or a tablet at the platform and logging into Facebook and hitting go live. But sure, you can do that, but that doesn't mean you have a live streaming ministry. Viewers these days have a much higher expectation of a live stream, and if you want to grow an audience, you must present them with a quality product, period. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. And where I start with all of my clients that want to live stream is to invest in lighting first. And here's why. A top-of-the-line video camera will still be limited by the lighting system or the lack thereof. In other words, you can have the most amazing camera with the most amazing sensor in the industry, but if you don't have good lighting, you're still going to have a lackluster image. Lighting for video will also make it look good for the in-person audience, and that is because our human eyes are much more forgiving than the sensor of a camera. So if we make it look good for the camera sensor, then it's going to look good for our eyes. Now, I'll be doing another episode all about basic lighting and how to set it up, what the angles are, and why we use those angles. But for now, just understand you need to invest in your lighting before you invest in any video camera, switcher, live streaming encoder, or even if you want to do an all software-based video system, you still need good lighting. So once your lighting is done, now you can start with the cameras. And I say, buy as much camera as you can afford, but don't be afraid to start small. And the reason that we don't have to buy expensive cameras to start is because we've invested in the lighting. And even smaller sensors are going to produce a very adequate image for live streaming purposes because the lighting is there. And this also allows you to have a much lower startup cost or cost of entry to get a video ministry or a live stream ministry going. And then as time and budget allows, you can upgrade those cameras. For example, right now we're starting to see a lot more 4K resolution camera options coming around. Something else that you need to think about in terms of equipment is how are you getting good audio into the live stream? And that doesn't mean that you're just taking an output from your house sound mixer and plugging it in somewhere and getting audio. If you're going to do it right, then you need to have an output from that sound mixer that you either have control of remotely. If it's a digital audio mixer, then you can plug in an iPad or use an iPad wirelessly, and you can control, say, a subgroup or an aux send. If you have an analog mixer, it gets a little more difficult. And in that situation, I would say that the best thing to do is to just have an inline splitter for every channel that you want or need to be able to mix for your live stream. And you have all of your audio lines coming in to the splitter, and then they split out to the separate boards, and you'll have your own audio mixer that will allow you to have your own dedicated mix for recording, for live stream, whatever the video uses are, you'll have a dedicated mixer for it. I know some of you might be thinking, come on, Tim, seriously? The quality of the camera doesn't matter? Well, of course it does, and you want to be able to have as high a quality image at acquisition as possible. However, a lot of small churches that want to get into live streaming don't have budgets where they can afford, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per camera. So what I'm saying is there doesn't have to be a barrier of entry that is cost. I mean, you will have to spend some money, but you won't have to spend as much money. And the reason that the quality of the camera doesn't matter as much, it does matter, but it doesn't matter as much, is because we're talking about live streaming. That video signal is going through an encoding process, which means it's being taken from this size down to this size so it can be shoved through the pipe out to the streaming host. So, and again, obviously you will always want to start with the best video camera you can afford. but it's not necessary to spend tens of thousands of dollars on your cameras to get a great image. So that's part 2. Part 3 will cover live stream ministry management. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by the idea of starting a live stream ministry on your own, we're happy to come in and help in that process. Head over to tomatosystems.com, hit that contact page, and there'll be a form that you can fill out to shoot us an email, and I'll get in touch and we can start that discussion to make sure that you get the right equipment for your situation.
I have my bazooka cannon.